Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I pay homage to my teacher, Swami. Sadhu, sadhu. So, now we are going to learn beautiful Dhamma taught by the Buddha, and this sutta is from the Middle End Discourses of the Buddha. I am just using the last part of the sutta. Even though it is the last part of the sutta, we can still learn lots of Dhamma. So this is about an intelligent cowherd. Let's see what we can learn here. The Buddha teaches about an intelligent cowherd and how he takes care of his herd of cattle. As a result, how he is going to expand this herd of cattle, how he's going to receive the benefits and profits. So, and then Buddha teaches about the intelligent practitioner of this Dhamma. Even though Buddha addresses here as mendicant or monks, you will realize that all these factors are very powerful and essential factors for all the practitioners in the Dhamma path, whether they are monks, nuns, male lay followers or female lay followers. Very important Dhamma factors to achieve the growth and improvement of the Dhamma path. Okay?
A cow herd with 11 factors can maintain and expand a herd of cattle. What 11? It's when a cow herd knows form, is skilled in characteristics, picks up flies, eggs, dresses wounds, smokes out pests, knows the ford, knows satisfaction, knows the trail, is skilled in pastures, doesn't milk dry, and shows extra respect to the bulls who are fathers and leaders of the herd. The cow herd with these 11 factors can maintain and expand a herd of cattle. In the same way, a mendicant with 11 qualities can achieve growth, improvement, and maturity in this teaching and training. What 11? It's when a mendicant knows form, is skilled in characteristics, picks out flies, eggs, dresses wounds, smokes out pests, knows the ford, knows satisfaction, knows the trail, is skilled in pastures, doesn't milk dry, and shows extra respect to senior mendicants of long standing, long gone forth, fathers and leaders of the Sangha. And how does a mendicant know form? It's when a mendicant truly understands that all form is the 4 primary elements, or form derived from the 4 primary elements. That's how a mendicant knows form.
Okay, very good. So we rejoice in your Dhamma reading. Everybody understand the story here? The Buddha explains about an insightful, intelligent cowherd, right? So because of these 11 qualities, 11 factors, he can maintain and expand a herd of cattle, right? So in the same way, Buddha teaches monk or any practitioner in the Dhamma path with 11 qualities can achieve growth and improvement and maturity in this teaching and training, right? So this is very important because all of us are working hard, honestly, with this intention, right? To achieve growth and improvement in this Dhamma path. We don't want to decline of our noble qualities, of the wholesome qualities. We want to achieve growth. because we know that's the only way that we are going to end suffering. That's the only way we are going to attain stages of enlightenment, right? So it's only by growth and improvement of these wholesome qualities we are going to achieve the freedom from suffering, nibbana. So this is definitely very important. So Buddha teaches a practitioner should have these 11 qualities in his life. So the first one is that the practitioner knows form. So that is the first one. So let's learn one by one. So then Buddha explains the meaning of that. How does a mendicant know form? So do you know the Pali word for form? So if a practitioner understands the reality of form, that wisdom leads to the growth of lots of wholesome qualities in this Dhamma path. And that wisdom will make sure that the practitioner eventually achieve the stages of enlightenment. So that is so powerful. So how to gain that knowledge? What is the meaning of knowing the form? And Buddha here explains, it is when a practitioner truly understands that all form is the four primary elements, or form derived from the four primary elements. So that is the wisdom we need. So form means the Pali word is rupa, right? So what is the wisdom we need to gain about this rupa, about this form? Here Buddha teaches we need to understand the true nature of the form. For example, the body is a form. So if we think about the body, if you try to understand the true nature of the form, in this case as the body, so what is that knowledge? So we understand this body is derived from, or this body is made up of four primary elements, or four great elements. So what is the meaning of four primary elements or great elements? This body is made up of earth elements. So Buddha explains that means in this body there are solid parts, right? And Buddha explains about that. These head hairs, body hairs, teeth, skin, flesh, bones, kidneys, and these parts are called earth element because they are derived from the primary element of earth element, Patavi Dhatu. And also, all these solid parts in the body will eventually fall on the ground and will become a part of the ground, right? So then we don't call those parts my body, we call it just simply, we call it the ground. So that is about the first primary element, and that's a very deep knowledge. That's a powerful insight. So when those solid parts are inside the body, we cling to them, we are attached to them, and we use those parts to gratify ourselves, to gratify our senses, with the notion of self. This is me, this is I am. But the reality, Buddha teaches here, in order to end suffering, we need to be getting closer to the reality. The reality is that all these solid parts are just the earth element. And you can understand that because they eventually fall on the ground and become a part of the ground. And now we don't call that my body. But when they are inside our body, we call it mine. When they are outside, when they are part of the ground or earth, we don't call it mine. So that's the wisdom. We need to understand that it is just this delusion that differentiate is internal and external earth element, not the wisdom. But what the wisdom does is that it gives us the knowledge that whatever internal earth element and whatever external earth element are just the earth element. Yacha adhyatika patavi dhatu, yacha bahira patavi dhatu, patavi dhatu revesa. So Buddha teaches whatever internal earth element and whatever external element are just the earth element. There is no mind, no I am, no myself. But that is a very powerful vipassana knowledge about the true nature of the form, the rupa. And again, Buddha teaches this about the second primary element of this body, which is apo dhatu, the water element. So what is the meaning of water element? So Buddha teaches all the liquid parts in this body, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, saliva, urine. These liquid parts are called the water element. And they mix with the water and become a part of the water. But when they are in this body, when we recognize them as a part of our body, we cling to them, right? We are attached to them, and we think this is mine. Like we take it, all these things as a whole, not we don't analyze them one by one, but that investigation happens only when we do the vipassana investigation, because Buddha asks us to investigate them one by one. Then only we will think about them one by one. But when we are not mindful, when we don't do vipassana, when we don't investigate the true nature, we just recognize not as separate parts of the body, we just recognize everything as a whole, saying this is me, this is my body, this is I am, right? This is myself. So that's the problem. That's the delusion, and that's the path to suffering. But in this case, in order to develop wisdom, Buddha asks us to analyze and investigate these things one by one. So we investigate earth element separately, we investigate water element separately, without the notion of mine, I am, and myself, but with the proper understanding that they are just part of this nature. And then the third, the primary element in this body is the heat element. And Buddha teaches there is this heat inside this body, and it is also a part of the nature. That is why it is always subject to change. When the temperature, the outside temperature changes, the body temperature also changes. That's why we have to wear clothes when we go out in the winter. We cannot say, oh, outside temperature is different and this is my body, I am the owner of this body, so let me control the temperature in my body. Can we do that? No, it's just a part of that same nature. There is no ownership here. That's what we need to understand when we understand the true nature of the form. The heat inside the body is also a part of the nature, and it's not mine, it's not I am, it is not myself. That is the true understanding. And then Buddha teaches when we understand the form, we need to understand the fourth primary element, which is the air element, Vayu Dhatu. So Buddha teaches we need to investigate that there is air inside this body, right? The wind, upgoing wind, downgoing wind, wind in the belly, wind that travels through the limbs, and the in-breathing, out-breathing, which is the same wind that blows outside, and it's a little bit of that travels through this body. But if we don't investigate the true nature of this, we will think that there is this body, this is mine, this is I am, this is myself. But if we investigate it one by one, all these 4 primary elements inside this body, we will realize it is also a part of this nature. There is no mine, no I am, no myself, right? So that is a powerful insight knowledge, wisdom with regard to the form, rupa. When we understand that, Buddha teaches this knowledge leads to the growth and improvement and maturity in this Dhamma path. Okay, so do you have any questions about anything related to the form or the insight knowledge about the form? So actually, when we say form, it's not only about body. Whatever is the main primary elements are also considered as form. That means the earth element, water element, air element, heat element. The primary elements are also rupa. And then whatever is made up of those primary elements are also called rupa. So any vehicle, any building, anything that is made up of those 4 great elements are called rupa. So everything that has to do with these 4 elements are rupa. The common nature of all those things is that they are subject to change, they are impermanent, subject to destruction, and they are not mine, they are not I am, they are not myself. Right? You will see that if you investigate this, you will come to understand that everything in this world is about these 4 great elements, like the food we eat, right? Everything is coming from these 4 great elements. And the reason for this endless suffering is the attachment, is the craving, the desire for these impermanent things, for these things that are subject to change, subject to decay, subject to destruction. Because instead of understanding the true nature and practicing detachment towards these things, we try to use these things that are made of 4 great elements, we try to use them to gratify ourselves. We find entertainment in them, we find enjoyment in them, and that is how we create our own suffering, right? So this is a powerful teaching of the Buddha about understanding the form. Okay, can we understand the second factor of the 11 qualities that lead to the growth and improvement of this Dhamma path?
Bante, I have a question. Regarding the 4 primary elements, I was just thinking as well that do we need balancing of these elements? Because if, just like in the body form, so if these elements became imbalanced, can we use that to explain that that's why the body, the person becomes sick? Okay. And then another thing that I was thinking as well is, can we also say that the elements, 4 elements inside the body, as this person become older, and that's why he become sick and old? Can we explain something like that?
Yeah,
these
so
elements imbalance and old.
we call it aging or
Yeah.
like sickness. It's because of the change, the impermanence of these elements. There are 4 things like Vata Samuttana, Abhada, Pitta Samuttana, Abhada, like that. Buddha teaches due to the unbalance of flame, unbalance of air, some diseases happen. So that's why we take some medicine to balance between those elements. But in this context, like understanding the true nature of those things, it's always about understanding the impermanence and non-self nature of these elements, so that we can develop this detachment towards these elements by seeing the true nature of them and understanding that there is no honor for these things. They are just following the law of the nature, like the nature of impermanence. Okay, so let's go to the second factor here, which leads to the growth and improvement of this Dhamma path. What kind of knowledge we need about the second one? Buddha teaches here, and how is a mendicant skilled in characteristics, right? So, meaning here, Buddha teaches, it is when a mendicant understands that a fool is characterized by their deeds, and an astute or wise person is characterized by their deeds. So this is also a special knowledge that we need to develop in our life, so that we give priority to focus on deeds, right? That's also a knowledge that should be developed in somebody's life. Okay, how to recognize an unwise person is by their deeds, and how to recognize a wise person is by their deeds. So when we say deeds, Buddha teaches there are three types of deeds: bodily actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. So that is how this is important, because then we understand about the Kalyana Mittas, noble friends, and we know the value of them, and we need to associate with them in order to achieve any improvement, any growth in this Dhamma path, right? And how to recognize Kalyana Mittas, Dhamma friends, wise people, is through by their actions. At the same time, we need to avoid unwise people if we want to achieve any growth and improvement of this Dhamma path. So, and how to recognize them is by their deeds, by their actions, right? If we don't know that what are the bad actions, what are the unwholesome deeds, how are we going to recognize a person that we should avoid? For example, we need to know that killing humans and animals is an unwholesome action. Stealing is unwholesome. Sexual misconduct is unwholesome, right? Lying is unwholesome. Taking intoxicants, taking drugs is unwholesome. So when we understand actions, and if we know that somebody is engaged in these actions and that person does not have any intention of refraining from those actions, abstaining from those actions, we know that there is a danger of associating with that person, because we will eventually follow the same example. So like that, we need to understand the wholesome actions as wholesome actions and unwholesome actions as unwholesome actions. So if these actions are reflected from any character, any individual, then and that helps us, because Buddha taught very clearly that this entire Dhamma path, the entire growth and improvement in this Dhamma path depends on the association of Kalyana Mittas, on your association of spiritual friends. So it is very important to recognize people, and the only way to recognize is that with their deeds. If somebody develops this quality, it leads to the growth and improvement of lots of wholesome qualities. Otherwise, if we don't develop this knowledge, then we will associate with unwise people, we will avoid wise people, and then as a result, we will lose lots of wholesome qualities. On the other hand, we will develop lots of unwholesome qualities in our life if we don't have just this one factor in our life.
And how does a mendicant pick out flies' eggs? It's when a mendicant doesn't tolerate a sensual, malicious, or cruel thought that has arisen. They don't tolerate any bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen, but give them up, get rid of them, eliminate them, and obliterate them. That's how a mendicant picks out flies' eggs.
Very good. So this is another job, right? Picking out flies' eggs. Another difficult task, right? We have to take on. So that means not tolerating kama vitakko, means the thoughts that are connected with worldly pleasures, sense desires, right? So what's the meaning of not tolerating? That means when they arise, you recognize them and you contemplate the danger of keep thinking of those. You recognize, you contemplate that these same thoughts connected with sense desire, worldly pleasures, lead to the killing, lead to stealing, lead to sexual misconduct, lead to cheating, lying. All those things like start with these thoughts of worldly pleasures, craving, attachment for those worldly pleasures, right? In many cases, when you see some crime in the world, some evil action took place in the world, you will realize in the background of that there was these thoughts of sense desires, worldly pleasures. Somebody wanted to gratify their senses with visual objects, sounds, taste, smells, tangibles, and that was the reason for that killing, shooting, stabbing, or stealing, or any evil action like that. You will realize it's because of this greediness, this craving, and that was originated from a thought of sense desire. So when these evil thoughts arise, you contemplate the danger of them, and you don't want to tolerate them. You don't want to find happiness in those thoughts, right? Because they are dangerous. And the second type of those thoughts is the vyapada vitakko, thoughts of ill will, angry thoughts. Again, you realize these angry thoughts leads to lots of unwholesome actions in this world, again, such as these actions of killing, stealing, lots of harming, lots of wars happen because of these angry thoughts, right? Thoughts of hatred. So when they arise, you contemplate on the danger of them, danger of keeping them, and how they can destroy our wholesome qualities, how they can destroy our peace, how they can destroy the peace of others' lives. So then you want to abandon them, right? You want to get rid of them. You want to eliminate them. So that's the path to growth in wholesome qualities. And then the third type of those unwholesome qualities is the unwholesome thoughts, is the cruel thoughts, harming thoughts, vihinsa sankappa. So you have a grudge against somebody, and somebody is unpleasant for you, or somebody was unfair to you, somebody hurt you. So then these thoughts might arise about like ill wishes in you, right? So you wish bad things might happen to them, right? You think you wish danger for them. So those kind of thoughts of cruelty, harming thoughts are to be abandoned, understanding the danger of those thoughts and as concluding them as unwholesome thoughts. And those are the main 3 types of unwholesome thoughts: Kama Vitaka, Vyapada Vitaka, and Vihisa Vitaka. But Buddha teaches not only those 3 thoughts, but there are these many other unwholesome thoughts. When they arise, we need to recognize them. We need to contemplate the danger of them and give them up, get rid of them, eliminate them, and obliterate them. So that's the energy we need to cultivate. Okay. So that's about abandoning unwholesome qualities. It's like picking out flies' eggs. What happens if you don't pick out flies' eggs?
The flies will multiply, Bante.
Yeah,
Unwholesome become more and more.
yeah, more and more, and they could finally devour everything, right? A big damage.
And how does a mendicant dress wounds? When a mendicant sees a sight with their eyes, they don't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of sight were left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of desire and aversion would become overwhelming. For this reason, they practice restraint, protecting the faculty of sight and achieving its restraint. When they hear a sound with their ears, or smell an odor with their nose, or taste a flavor with their tongue, feel a touch with their body, know a thought with their mind, they don't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of mind were left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of desire and aversion would become overwhelming. For this reason, they practice restraint, protecting the faculty of mind and achieving its restraint. That's how a mendicant dresses wounds.
Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So here Buddha teaches about sense restraint, guarding the doors of the sense bases, right? Guarding the doors of the eye base, ear base, nose, tongue, body, and mind. What is the meaning of guarding is very clearly explained here. If any faculty, right, here faculty of sight, which is eye, left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of desire and aversion would become overwhelming. So that is the meaning of not guarding the eye faculty. So if the eye faculty is not well guarded, not restrained, we can understand that something happens to inside of us, right? We feel angry thoughts are arising because of something we saw, or thoughts of desire arise because of something we saw. When we understand that any sight would give rise to these unwholesome qualities, we know that that is the occasion we need to practice sense restraint. So that means we are mindful not to take any features or details of that visual object, or any features and details of the sound we hear, of the smell, of the taste, of the tangible, or of the mind object. And we restrain all the senses mindfully. Sometimes in order to do this restraint, we need to use some techniques of meditation, techniques of mindfulness, techniques of awareness. So by using different strategies, we try to guard our senses so that nothing unwholesome, negative qualities enter our mind and they don't they don't steal the peace inside the mind. Because whatever is entering through these senses can destroy, can steal inner peace. So that happens with these external objects, right? Always with these external objects. And if we are not mindful of what is entering, then that's called non-restraint of sense faculties. But if we practice restraint with lots of energy and mindfulness inside, then we are going to achieve growth and improvement in this Dhamma path. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Buddha teaches here, and how does a mendicant smoke out pests? It is when a mendicant teaches others the Dhamma in detail as they learned and memorized it. That's also a beautiful factor, right? So when you practice the Dhamma, when you learn the Dhamma, if you can share what you learn with your friends, with your parents, with your children, right? With anybody in your workplace, you know, in any community, if you can share these teachings of non-violence, you know, these teachings of loving kindness, metta, compassion, forgiveness, teachings about the 5 precepts, teachings about meditation, and it's not only that you are helping somebody to achieve true happiness, it also helps your own Dhamma path, according to this sutta, right? Buddha teaches if you can teach the Dhamma to others, share the Dhamma with others, it directly affects the growth of your wholesome qualities in the Dhamma path. That's beautiful. And next one, Buddha teaches how does a mendicant know the ford? Remember that the wise cowherd takes his herd of cattle to this safe ford, right? So then they can drink, you know, clean water, they can eat good grass. So what is the meaning here? Buddha teaches a practitioner knows the ford means it's when from time to time the practitioner goes up to those other monks or kalyanamitas who are very learned, knowledgeable in the Dhamma, who have memorized the teachings, the Vinaya, right? And ask them questions. Why, Bhante, does it say this? What does that mean? So those venerables, those kalyanamitas clarify what is unclear, reveal what is obscure, and dispel doubt regarding the many doubtful matters. That's also a beautiful quality, right? So you don't keep the doubts to yourself, and you don't suffer with doubts or any confusing things. You just always with an open mind, you know, with this intention of knowing more things in the Dhamma, understanding things clearly, you always go to the monks and, you know, kalyanamitas, Dhamma friends, you know, discuss things with them. What is the other quality you need to do this? You need the quality of humility, right? You have to be humble because you think, okay, I don't know about this, but my kalyanamitas know about this, so they can help me. That is why this quality becomes another powerful quality of achieving growth and improvement in this Dhamma path. With a humble mind, with an honest mind, you go to the kalyanamitas and ask the questions, not to argue with them, not to show that you know better than them. That's not the purpose, right? The purpose here is that you don't know about something, you have doubts, you have perplexity, but you think your kalyanamitas can help you, right? That's the point here, asking questions. It's knowing about the things that are not clear to you. That's why in the Dhamma, you see this beautiful thing. When the Buddha or the other companions in the holy life, other Dhamma friends, when they explain something to the monk or to the lay person who asked the question, when they learn that the answer from the Buddha or the other Kalyanamittas, they say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now it is very clear to me, Bhante. I am so grateful. I am so thankful. It is very clear to me. Now you understand how grateful they are? If somebody asks questions with the intention of arguing with somebody, debating, then in the end of it, you are not grateful. You are not thankful. You are just angry. Oh, he didn't accept my point. He didn't agree with my things, right? He didn't agree with my opinions. And that's how you debate, how you argue with others. But if you get the right answer about the Dhamma, you are grateful, you are thankful, you are so happy. Because it's like there was an obstacle in the path and the Kalyanamitas removed that obstacle for you. So you can proceed, right? So that's a factor of growth and improvement. And another one?
And how does a mendicant know satisfaction? It is when a mendicant, when the teaching and training proclaimed by the realized one are being taught, finds inspiration in the meaning and the teaching, and finds joy connected with the teaching. That's how a mendicant knows satisfaction.
Very good, very good. So here Buddha teaches another factor, another sign of growth and improvement is that you like to listen to the Dhamma. That's a factor of growth and improvement. That's why you are here, right? Even though you are tired and after work, you could have rested, but you decided to join this program and learn the Dhamma. And that's your factor of growth and improvement. Definitely, Buddha teaches here, when the Dhamma is being taught, this person finds inspiration in the Dhamma. He finds joy connected with the Dhamma. He understands this joy coming from the Dhamma, listening to the Dhamma. And he knows that joy, that gladness, that rapture coming from the Dhamma by listening to the Dhamma is always superior to the joy coming from the worldly pleasures, from the material things, right? So when you understand that, and when that quality is very well established in you, that's the factor of growth and improvement. That means you are in the right path. Isn't that beautiful? How these various qualities eventually, take a practitioner towards the end of suffering. Like you cannot drop any factor here. You cannot drop. You cannot say, oh, maybe this is not that important. This factor is not that important. No, you cannot say that. All these factors are very, very important, very helpful. So you can rejoice in your wholesome qualities. If you can see these factors in you, you can rejoice in them, you can appreciate them, and you can understand that you are doing a very difficult thing, because having any of these factors are not easy. They are not worldly. They are noble. They are wholesome. So you just need to evaluate them and then keep practicing them. And then Buddha teaches, how does a mendicant know the trail? It is when a mendicant truly understands the Noble Eightfold Path. That is, and again, that is very, very important. Because, Noble Eightfold Path is the path to end suffering. Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Satchang. It is the fourth noble truth, right? The path to end suffering. So Buddha teaches, it's like knowing the trail. So you don't go astray, right? You know the direction you are heading. You know the path. It's like you have the map. What happens if you don't have the map? You know, paper map or Google map or whatever map. You don't have any map. You don't know the destination. You don't know the where to turn, right? You don't know the intersections. You know nothing. So, but you are going a journey. It's a danger, right? So that is why we need to know the path. So the path to true happiness, to freedom from suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. And if you understand, truly understand the Noble Eightfold Path, is the growth and improvement of the path. So there is the whole separate chapter about the Noble Eightfold Path. That's called Magga Samyutta in the Samyutta Nikaya, Connected Discourses of the Buddha. Magga Samyutta, the chapter on the Noble Eightfold Path. So you can read many discourses about the Noble Eightfold Path. Also, you can learn about the Noble Eightfold Path in these Dhamma classes. Bhantes from time to time teach about the Noble Eightfold Path, about those 8 factors. So it is very important. And also, sometimes we hear people say like the main thing in the Dhamma is meditation. Sometimes people say main thing is in the Dhamma is the path to Nibbana is mindfulness. So people say things like this. They are not the complete answer. You can say they are incomplete. The complete answer is that the path to end suffering is not meditation, not mindfulness. Path to end suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. That's the complete answer. Mindfulness, meditation, right view, precepts, and everything is in the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, so today we are only like learning the topic of these things, but you need to learn about the Noble Eightfold Path in depth, right? So next one, Buddha teaches, how is a mendicant skilled in pastures? Is when a mendicant truly understand the 4 kinds of mindfulness meditation. That is another important thing. So that's about Chattaro Satipatthana, the 4 establishments of mindfulness, and you understand about those meditation techniques of contemplating the true nature of the body, true nature of the feelings, true nature of the mind, and true nature of the wisdom factors. Kaya Anupassana, Vedana Anupassana, Chitta Anupassana, and Dhamma Anupassana. Buddha realized all these things and explained as the 4 establishments of mindfulness. Right? We use lots of meditations we practice. Those meditations are as techniques of mindfulness are from the Mahāsatipatthana Sutta, where Buddha teaches about these 4 establishments of mindfulness in greater details.
And how does a mendicant not milk dry? It's when a mendicant is invited by a householder to accept robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicines, and supplies for the sick, and that mendicant knows moderation in accepting. That's how a mendicant doesn't milk dry.
Very good. Okay, so you keep some milk for the calf, right? Otherwise, mother cow, right, will be very sad because there is no milk for the cattle, for the baby, for the calf, right? So Buddha teaches, especially when it comes to the monks' practice, monks have to practice the moderation in accepting. There are lots of faithful, generous donors, devotees, and they are always like willing to offer so many gifts to the monks, robes, food, lodgings, medicine, and other necessities. It's because of their faith. But they also can collect merit, lots of merit, by making those offerings, by offering the gifts to the Sangha. But from the monk's end, monks should know the moderation in accepting. If monks don't know, that leads to the decline of wholesome qualities. That's dangerous for their path. So they have to know the limit, and they have to practice contentment. They have to be satisfied with what is available. The monks have to make sure that those faithful devotees, those families, they can maintain their own family necessities, family, responsibilities. So if a monk has that wisdom of moderation in accepting, that definitely Buddha teaches leads to the growth and improvement of wholesome qualities. And that monk is praised by the Buddha, praised by the wise companions in the holy life. He is praised by the devas. He is praised by the lay devotees. It's a very wholesome factor. Otherwise, if the monk is very greedy, and if the monk does not think about the well-being of the family, he only thinks about accepting things, receiving things, do you think he's in the path of growth and improvement? No. It's again, it's coming from the foundation of detachment, living with few wishes, practicing contentment, and all these qualities, and and also compassion and kindness towards the lay people.
And how does a mendicant show extra respect to senior mendicants of long standing, long gone forth, fathers and leaders of the Sangha? It's when a mendicant consistently treats senior mendicants of long standing, long gone forth, fathers and leaders of the Sangha with kindness by way of body, speech, and mind, both in public and in private. That's how a mendicant show extra respect to senior mendicants of long standing, long gone forth, fathers and leaders of the Sangha.
Sadhu. Okay, so Buddha teaches another beautiful factor here, respecting elder monks, senior monks, right? That's a powerful factor. And what's the meaning of respecting here? Buddha teaches here, when you are with them or when you are not with them. That's the meaning of both in public and in private. You always talk about good things, you think about good things, and you have grateful thoughts, thankful thoughts, and you treat them with kindness by way of body, means you try to help them. You can clean their kutis, you can do any volunteer things, activities. And as lay people, you can also practice these things, like also volunteering, helping, bodily actions with kindness, many things to support their Dhamma path. And that in return gives lots of wholesome qualities to you, right? And when you talk about them, you always talk with these respectful words, grateful words. It's like as lay people, you talk about good things about your parents, right? And you try to help them with bodily activities. You try to help them in different ways you can, helping them in many, many ways. And you talk about good things, how they have helped you. You are grateful to your parents, right? And you address them with kind words, not with harsh words, and compassionate words, with nice words. And even in private, when you think about your parents or any family elders or any relatives who have helped you, right? Anybody who have helped you, right? Even in private, not only in public, even in private, you think about good thoughts. How, like especially parents, they have given you the life, they have given you everything. They sacrificed their happiness for you, to give you the happiness. There are many people who have helped us in our life, and you think about thoughts of loving kindness about them, and you are grateful to them. So these are beautiful qualities, right? And in this case, especially a monk is supposed to have these bodily actions, verbal actions, and mental actions of kindness, gratitude towards the senior monks, both in public and in private. So Buddha teaches this factor also is leading to the growth and improvement of the Dhamma path. And those are the qualities, 11 qualities, leads to the attaining of stages of enlightenment. That's another meaning of saying achieving growth and improvement and maturity in the Dhamma and Vinaya. Because this monk or this practitioner will achieve the stages of enlightenment with the help of these factors. So that is what the Buddha taught. The monks were so happy with the Buddha's words, and they rejoiced in the Buddha's words and accepted the teachings respectfully, saying, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. So this beautiful Dhamma we learned from the Mahāgopālaka Sutta. From Mahāgopālaka Sutta, the longer discourses on the cowherd.
Bhante, I have a question.
Please ask.
I was wondering, what is the difference between mindfulness and concentration, and how do those two things fit in with what we consider meditation?
Okay, very good. Very clear question. So the Pali word for mindfulness is sati. Pali word for concentration is samadhi. The seventh factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is sammasati, right mindfulness. The eighth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is samma samadhi, right concentration. So in the right mindfulness segment, Buddha explains about different techniques of practicing mindfulness. For example, mindfulness of breathing is a technique of practicing mindfulness. And then contemplating in the impurities of the body is a technique of mindfulness. So we develop these meditation, these techniques of mindfulness in order to develop mindfulness, awareness, the knowledge of the reality of this life, right? So those are the benefits of these techniques of mindfulness. When we learn about concentration or samadhi, Buddha explains in the segment of right concentration, there are 4 levels of concentration. And when we understand that, it means when the mindfulness is practiced with an wholesome object, such as breathing, such as the mindfulness about postures, mindfulness of the impurities of the body, mindfulness of the feelings, mindfulness of the different mental status of the mind, or mindfulness about 5 hindrances, 5 aggregates of clinging, mindfulness about the 6 sense bases, right? So when this mindfulness is practiced, gradually this mind achieves lots of clarity, lots of tranquility, because the major unwholesome qualities are abandoned in the mind, because you are cultivating these beautiful wholesome qualities called techniques of mindfulness. Okay, so then this mind achieves some clarity, calming, some unification. Mind is very well focused on those techniques of mindfulness. When this unification is very well maintained with the help of that wholesome object of mindfulness, Okay, again, when this unification of the mind is very well maintained with the help of the mindfulness technique. For example, the mindfulness techniques of breathing. Okay, the hindrances, the negative qualities are abandoned from the mind. So your meditation, your mindfulness technique is not bothered by worldly pleasures, the desires, angry thoughts, doubts, sleepiness, or drowsiness. It's not bothered. You can clearly focus on that meditation object, and that is called the first level of the concentration of the mind. So the mind is very well concentrated based on that wholesome object of mindfulness. When that concentration is sharpened, you are removing more unwholesome qualities from your mind, and you achieve sharp unification gradually. And that unification of the mind, that concentration of the mind is named as the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana. So those are the different levels of the concentration of the mind. Did you realize how the techniques of mindfulness leads to concentration? So that is how the Buddha taught about the mindfulness and concentration. Is that clear?
Yes, that's very clear. Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome. Okay, so now you have you learned lots of Dhamma from today's sutta, so you need time to reflect on them, right?